and welcome back to the show. Today we are talking with Dr. Rick Hanson and his book, Resilient. Rick, in the last segment, you gave some great strengths, and you talked about safety. And I'm wondering, with the current environment, with pandemic, COVID-19 pandemic, we're all in this together, but there are some people out there that maybe even listening right now that don't feel like they're in it with other people. How can they start to try and make a small difference to turn things around for them? I know during the break I gave an example to you where I know a couple of people, and one is trying to teach 3 children while offering, support to, coworkers and colleagues and things like that. And it's really tough. So do you have any advice on how they can, try and turn themselves and their feelings around?
Totally. There are 3 things that come from research really on resilience and coping that stand out again and again and again. So I'll just kind of name them and briefly here. First, find your footing. Get a sense of what the facts are. What's happening? What's the situation? Where is it going? How is it likely to end? Yes, we don't have perfect knowledge, but it's a little bit, I think, these days for a lot of people, and this goes back to my experience rock climbing and being in the mountains, where you feel like you're on a knife blade arête. You're walking on a thin ridge that's maybe a foot or 2 wide, and you can't tell whether the drop and you're in a fog bank or a whiteout, and you can't tell whether the drop on either side of you is, 2 feet or 2,000 feet. So naturally, you have to slow down and see where you are. You have to find your footing. It's calming to do that. What's our situation? What are the facts? I think turning to expertise is really important, really respecting science, really respecting people who are genuine public health experts, getting a sense of what their take is, what's the safest course, what's reasonable, right? Even as clarity is still emerging, there's a lot that's already really pretty clear. So find your footing. Second, calm and center. I remember reading this book that I get interested in sort of disaster stories, how people get through it. And I remember reading a book with a very pointed title, Who Lives, Who Dies? Right? They went into all these case histories of people swept away down a river, their plane crashed, their car broke down in the desert, they were in a hostage situation, they were taken hostage by bad people in some way, etc. Who gets through it? And it's not perfect, but your odds go up immensely if you calm and center. Calm the body, calm the mind, disengage from ruminations that just go round and round and round. The root of that word, is from cows chewing their cud. Quit chewing your cud in anxiety about stuff you can't affect or resentments about other people, there's a saying, resentment is like taking poison and waiting for other people to die. It's not good to do that. And also, as we said earlier, tune into the feeling of strength inside yourself. Do activities like you've talked about, taking action of various kinds, doing puzzles, interacting with your dog. Calm and center. Wow. Yeah. And I think really, I'm a long-time meditator, a long-time meditation teacher. I'm a touchy-feely therapist. All right, fine. At the end of the day, there is no replacement for moxie, for that fundamental sense of, I am going to get through this. I joke, I believe in the cockroach theory of life. Keep crawling. Keep crawling. So, calm and center. And then third, classic advice, tend and befriend. This is a term from the research of a professor at UCLA, Shelley Taylor, who studied how women handle stress and found that not just through fighting and fleeing, but through tending and befriending of others. And then that research has been broadened way beyond just women, because obviously men, and to the extent that these gender categories are meaningful, men also tend to befriend, women also can fight and flee. But this general approach, this general point, that when we're stressed, it's personally calming, it's personally protective and refueling to take good care of other people, not to the point of exhaustion, but to bring caring to them, and also friendship, friendliness. Even if they're not your best pal, we're still connecting with other people. And when we move into tend and befriend mode and feel it, slow down, open the heart, rest in the sense of it, feel it. When we move into tend and befriend mode, in addition to the benefits for others, it's really good for us. It helps us feel better. It protects us. It nurtures the immune system, protects our bodies, and it helps us be more effective. It makes us stronger as we deal with our challenges. So those three. Find your footing, calm and center, and tend and befriend.
So I hope people out there were listening to that, because I know, my friend isn't the only one out there. So thank you for that. I really appreciate that advice for them.
I have another couple comments, too, about this time,
Sure.
if I could. Two perspectives. Just, these are my 2 cents, a penny each, right? And see what they're worth yourself. So first is, when we're being propped up by our situations and our settings and circumstances and interactions we have with other people, the music is playing, the sun is shining, everything's fine. Well, we don't really need to have much inside ourselves. But when the storm comes, and we're in the middle of a big storm, we, started seeing it in early January. The experts began really sounding the alarm. Now it is upon us in mid-May. We're going to be dealing with this, I'm sure, for many months to come, and economic consequences for, years to come. Okay, here we are. When that happens, what you're left with is what's inside you. And what you can really count on in your key relationships. That's it. And for a lot of people, when they look there, whoa, the takeaway is, yikes, I've underinvested in my own inner strengths, my own psychological capabilities, self-knowledge, and inner competence with my own thoughts and feelings. And the cupboard's kind of bare. I really need to use this time right now to cultivate traits inside myself, qualities inside myself, know-how even of various kinds. I'm going to use this time to do that. That's a really effective way, in part, to get through this time. Yes, there are losses, but what can we gain? Not to diminish or look at through rose-colored glasses, let's say, any of the losses, any of the challenges. But on the other hand, okay, the time sucks. I mean, if it really does, it does. Okay. Meanwhile, what can I grow a little bit inside myself each day, no matter what? That's, for me, a really useful perspective. The other thing I would just say is to take the long view. We will get through this, right? Some people won't. In America already, as you probably know, just to speak of my own country, not to leave out other countries in the world, but just to name my country because it's the one I know about, already this virus has killed well over 90,000 Americans. That's the conservative estimate, and the number is probably much greater when you include people that did not receive a diagnosis of COVID-19, but in fact were killed by it. And also when you add people who are not killed by COVID-19, but because this epidemic, because of mismanagement, has overwhelmed our public health system, they were unable to get proper care for other medical issues. So, most likely we're well north of 100,000 people killed by this, directly or indirectly, over just the last several months. That's a lot of people. So it's true. Right now it's horrible. It's really difficult. Okay. And there will be a time a year from now, certainly 2 years from now, when people are standing after the storm has largely, if not entirely passed, looking at some of the wreckage, picking themselves out of the rubble, and also going forward, teaching their children, starting businesses, enjoying times with friends, living their lives. And we can take that longer view. And I think it's calming and centering to take that longer perspective and to ask ourselves, when we look back on this time from tomorrow or a year from tomorrow, what do we want to see, especially in terms of our own conduct? Have we conducted ourselves in a way that, while it might be a little ragged, understandably, on the whole, we're proud of how we've acted? We feel that, yeah, I showed up. I wasn't a total jerk. the people I live and work with or sleep with, right? I showed up. I did the best I could. I kept my head high. I mean, I kept going. I brought character to it. I brought virtue to it. I was self-reliant. I learned from people like you, Alex. I did the best I could every day. And to me, we have the opportunity a year from now, let's say, to look back on ourselves and to feel good about how we've acted, even amidst all that's so challenging right now.
That actually brings up an interesting question. Does that mean that well-being or being resilient, it's not a quick fix?
Huh. I think that's very clever what you're getting at, because we tend to reach, like I live in the fast food country, fast food nation, right, America, and, we do tend to want that quick fix. And as long as we can get access to that quick fix, you're doing okay. It's like a junkie. Nobody dies of, how can I put it, heroin itself, taken in, this will probably get me into trouble. What am I trying to say? My point here is that as long as we can get the fix we crave, we're doing okay, right? We get propped up by it. But when we don't have access to the fill in the blank, the activities, the going out to eat, the conveniences, the contact with other people, sense of meaning we found in our work, let's say, whatever it might be, when we don't have access to what has sort of propped us up in the past, well, then what's revealed is that we've invested too much, maybe, in quick fixes. So I agree with you. I think that long-term well-being is what really matters. And for me, just kind of speaking personally, when I was in my teens, I was really pretty miserable, and one of the huge sort of light bulb moments for me when I was a teenager was to realize, wow, no matter how bad the past had been, or even there was always a little something I could do every day. I could always learn a little every day. I could grow a little every day. Wow, that was so hopeful. So that's what I think is our opportunity right now, to ask ourselves, okay, today is what it is. What do I want to develop inside myself a little bit more today? How do I want to become a little more emotionally intelligent, a little more resilient, a little more able to manage the unexpected when it lands on my doorstep, right? Whether I like it or not.
And believe it or not, we have about 2 minutes left. Do you have any last closing comment for a minute? A couple of closing words?
Well, to quote a saying from the work of someone from your country, I think, Canada, the Canadian psychologist Donald Hebb, neurons that fire together, wire together. This is the classic saying. And the takeaway point is that our practices, the efforts we make every day where we really rest our attention and kind of marinate in key experiences, that keeps neurons firing together. So that if you're resting in the sense of calm strength or connection with other people, you keep those neurons firing together, you will gradually hardwire calm strength or feeling of worth, feeling seen by other people into the very fabric of your being. And you can trust that process and build on it every day.
Well, on that, Dr. Hanson, thank you so much for joining us. I really enjoyed our chat.
It's been a pleasure, Alex. I really wish you well in your important work, too.
Oh, thank you. If you liked that video, thumbs up. If you didn't like that video, thumbs down. But leave me a message and let me know your thoughts. Of course, don't forget to subscribe. And in the meantime, stay prepared, everybody.